up, everybody? You know who it is. It is your allies behind enemy lines, Ryan and Joey, coming back to you with all the latest and greatest in Washington football. Well, I haven't done that in a while. Washington football team news and notes. Coming at you thoroughly behind enemy lines in Cowboys territory. I'm holding it down in Dallas. Joey's doing his thing down in Austin. And we are coming back to you here on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed here. Make sure you have that notification bell so as soon as we drop the latest and greatest heat, it pings you right to your phone, right to your computer, and says, hey, listen, you got some fire waiting for you. Come watch it. Come listen to it. You can also do the same thing anywhere you find your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, as well as SoundCloud. And of course, as you can see, if you are watching us on YouTube below, you can check us out on Twitter at AlliesBEL. You can also find us on Facebook, Allies Behind Enemy Lines Podcast, and on our Twitter page, we can have our very first Allies Behind Enemy Lines shirt that dropped with our hashtag we all need allies, because we do. It's hard in the streets right now. It's hard. We all need some allies, especially when it comes to rooting for your favorite football team, which is the Washington football team. It's always fun to find some others that enjoy the same. I don't know if I want to say enjoy the same pain, but they've suffered the same. But Joey, how's it going? We took a break on Monday. We're back at it on this beautiful Friday. How's everything going?
It's going good. You know, like I had said, I think mentioned last week on last week's show, I had some family in town, so it was a little hectic kind of week going on there, but things have kind of turned back to normal, a little bit slowed back down, got back in pace. Although I am back in person in school now. You know, I had kind of dabbled in a little bit, really was mostly outside, so masks weren't the hugest thing. So I've been wearing the masks all day for the first time for a while, and I'll tell you what, it's shout out to everyone that's been doing this for a year. Because I felt like I was getting suffocated, for the last couple, days. So I'm getting used to it. But the first day I was like, man, I came home and I was just exhausted. I don't know if I was like, man, I can't do this with this mask every day. But other than that, it's going well, man.
Right on. Well, yeah, welcome, like you said, welcome to what everyone else has been going through for the last year or so. It's been, I've been the same, working from home for like a year, so I haven't had to wear it too much. But when you're finally like first wearing it, it was like a little bit of a shock. Like, oh man, this thing, it's not the greatest, but nothing you can't overcome. But jumping right into it, again, we are in speculation season. We are 3 weeks away from the NFL draft. A couple moves have been made since we last spoke. The biggest one was the Sam Darnold trade. He goes from the Jets to the Panthers for a 6th round in this year's draft and a 2nd and 3rd in next year's draft, which is quite the – I don't – see, look, when we talked about a Darnold trade, I thought the 1st round pick was going to have to be moved for him. Talk about a big swing and a miss. I missed on that trade, saying we was probably going to take a 1st round pick. And then the Matt Stafford trade, I was like, that's not going to take a 1st round pick. And sure enough, that's exactly what it took. It took that and then some. Although some of that was because the Lions were taking on that big contract of Jared Goff's. So I'm 0 for 2 right now on predicting quarterback trades and what the Hall's going to get. But by all accounts, all analysts saying, hey, this is a win for both sides. Carolina gets a quarterback that they can, kind of revamp. They can kind of, start building that team around a little bit more, a little more stable. Because, Teddy Bridgewater did a fine job, but you just weren't sure what you're going to get with his injury. And the Jets, they get, sure, they get the 6th round pick, but then a 2nd and 3rd next year, which could turn into some big time players. So they're starting to rebuild. Obviously, we're assuming they're going Zach Wilson, the number 2 pick this year. So 2nd and 3rd round next year, those are some skill guys or some talented players that can play for you week 1 come 2022. And I know that's looking down the road, but I mean, it's got to start somewhere. And it starts this year with that draft pick of Zach Wilson. They have a few more picks in this year's draft, so they can really start getting this thing going down there with Robert Saleh and the new regime down there. Now, with that said, I think that obviously changes a lot of implications on the draft because we expected Carolina to maybe trade into that top 4, top 5 pick somewhere around there to try to get their quarterback. Well, look, guess what? Now they have it. So now where do they go? And how does that have effects? Because we all know it's going to be a butterfly effect or domino effect, whatever you want to say, and how players start falling down the draft list because we're going to have at least 4 guys in those top 5 picks. Is Cincinnati going to go with a tackle, or are they going to go with Jamar Chase, and kind of down the line? And so now that that's another team that has their quarterback, that's another team that doesn't need to draft a quarterback in that 1st round. So how does that affect us? Again, that's kind of down the line. Carolina picks 8, we pick 19. But so I don't know. It's not a direct effect, but it is going to have some, obviously, because again, I don't know what their needs are. I don't know if they're going to go defense now, if maybe they start looking at that tackle spot to protect Sam Darnold a little bit more. But it definitely, I think it betters our chances of maybe grabbing one of those tackles that we wanted. And definitely, I think we'll be able to have our choice of tackle linebacker there and not have to be forced to take anybody now that this now that this trade has gone down.
Yeah, I mean, implications, yes, it definitely always has a butterfly effect on the rest of the draft. And what you don't want, when you're looking at your team solely, is for there to be a run on a position that you want. So and that's not what's happening right now. What's happening is they're going out. We never really, obviously, we do need a quarterback long term down the road, but we didn't think we weren't trying to jump in there. We weren't thinking we're going to get one of these top prospects anyway. So it's really not affecting us. And what it is doing, like you said, is pushing some of these players back further that might have not have been there in the top 10 that will be available. Now you're talking about these tackles, Darisaw, Asul, and what's his name?
Slater.
Sean Slater. Yeah, the probably could fall. Some of them all of them in the tens now. I think it was Jeremiah's mock 3.0 had 5 quarterbacks in the top 10 and no tackles at all in the top 10. You had Kyle Pitts, he had Micah Parsons, he had Patrick Surtain, and those 5 quarterbacks. I think it was one, and then Jamar Chase, and I didn't think it was Jalen Waddle either. So so if you're talking like that, then you're going to have like Jalen Waddle and what's his buddy's name out there? Devontae Smith also in those teams there. So then you're going to have a lot of teams trying to jump in there as well, probably to try to get these top guys. And so it's definitely good. It's all, in my opinion, it's all good for the Washington football team, because what we really need is that tackle, that linebacker. I think we might have our choice above, Micah Parsons or, Sewell, probably of any of these guys if it pans out that way. So good for us. Bad for these teams that I think they're really going after these quarterbacks, because I'm not seeing, or I haven't seen or heard things that think to make these quarterbacks be chased, all 5 of them top 10. I think, the only one that belongs in that top 10, in my opinion, is Trevor Lawrence, and that's it.
Really? Yeah. See, like I said, I've been high on Zach Wilson for quite some time, so I think him going number 2, I think he's got kind of the build and the makeup to be a good NFL-type quarterback. One tackle that we keep forgetting to mention is the tackle out of USC, Elijah Vera Tucker. He's expected to be a day 1 starter. He's going to be a top 15 pick, but he's another guy. I think Slater's probably the first one off the board, or excuse me, well, after Sewell. Sewell, I think it's going to be Sewell, Slater, and then I think it's going to be a toss-up between Elijah Vera Tucker and Christian Darisaw for those next couple tackles. Well, I don't know that there's that many teams ahead of us that are going to be wanting tackles. So we'll talk about Tevin Jenkins out of Oklahoma State later down in this show. But you make the face and shake your head. I completely agree. He's kind of he's a first-round pick. He's a first-round talent that's going to need some work. And that's not what we need right now. We need a guy that can step on the field day 1 and start at that tackle spot. Elijah Vera Tucker, by all accounts, he can be that guy. Maybe more of a right tackle than a left tackle. But again, protection is protection.
Or a guard. I think he's even got him listed as a guard in the draft. I don't even have him listed as an interior lineman in the draft. So I think that he's someone that they think that might can play. I think I forgot who had him to us in the mock draft, but said he could play tackle first year, but they would immediately move him inside in the NFL after that. So maybe that pans into it as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously I want to re-sign Brandon Scherf as much as anybody, but you take him as a tackle for year 1. And then use him as an insurance policy if Scherf decides to walk after that. So, and move him into guard. Obviously with Wes Schweitzer. Which one do we like? Schweitzer? Yeah, Wes Schweitzer. We like
Schweitzer. We don't like Martin.
With Wes Schweitzer playing really well at guard, hopefully he can kind of continue to improve with that. But yeah, so again, this plays out well for Washington. There was a point that I was going to make when you were saying about these teams jumping. Oh, the other trade that was made was San Francisco going up to move to number 3. And by all accounts, they're going there to take Mac Jones, not even to try to get Trey Lance or Justin Fields, who are the better athletes of the 3 of that group of 3. So again, how does this affect Washington? Now we don't have to worry about him falling. We didn't think he was going to fall there anyway. It looked like maybe the Patriots might snag him, or somebody, if he gets into those late teens, the middle teens to late teens picks, somebody was going to jump up and get him. Well, now
Mm-hmm.
that takes that off the board, so we don't have to worry there. I'm all set on Mac Jones. Not a real big athletic dude, not a real skilled dude as far as being able to move in the pocket, whereas literally every other quarterback in this first round is with Fields, Wilson, Lance, and Lawrence. But so again, takes that off the board. We're fine there. Don't have to worry about it. But getting back to Darnold, did you have any thoughts on the Mac Jones thing?
Well, not really, other than the fact that, as you said, it's not going to really affect us in the fact that like you said, it's going to stop us from going trigger happy and pulling the trigger if he's sitting there at 19. And I think that's the best thing it could have been, because I don't think he's our future. But yeah, it's interesting to see though how Kyle Shanahan, they said that they skipped Trey Lance's pro day to go to Mac Jones's, and
Yeah.
now that they are going to go to Trey Lance's as well, him and John Lynch. So if he does something spectacular there, and wows them, but I don't think I think the scheme fit is better for Mac Jones. Then who's going to take Trey Lance? Is he going to go? And then that'll be the next question I guess I have there, because who's that? Is it going to be Atlanta? Are they going to trade that pick? And then it's a big question mark what happens after that, if that happens. That's the only thing I think happens there.
Yeah, agreed. Everyone always wants to use a cliche. The draft starts at pick X. The draft start, but it really does though. I mean, we kind of have it slotted right now by all
Mm-hmm.
accounts. Lawrence, Wilson, Mac Jones. Like you said, Atlanta could trade out that pick. They could just go ahead and take Kyle Pitts. They could take a quarterback. I wouldn't. I don't know that that's something that they need to do. But again, when it's the next time you're going to be picking in the top 4 and have your chance to get another good quarterback, that's obviously here nor there. But getting back to the Darnold pick, or excuse me, the Darnold trade, when I saw this, I was like, that's all it took was a 6th and a 2nd and 3rd next year. Why didn't Washington go after him? And JP Finley reports that he talked to somebody in Washington front office, and they said that they straight up just weren't interested in him at all. They said they weren't looking for a reclamation project, but they felt like that's what Darnold was, and there just really wasn't any interest. So even though the fans and a lot of people were kind of clamoring for, hey, let's go make a move for a guy that was a number 2 pick 4 years ago, there was really zero interest, from what it sounds like, from Washington. And you said it best a couple weeks ago. He just stinks, bro.
It just stinks, bro. It wasn't even me. I was quoting, an offensive, unnamed offensive person out there. But I mean, it just goes to show that as well. And I would even go off of that, because I was watching Good Morning Football, as I do most days, the day after it broke. And I remember they had Robbie Anderson on that morning. And they're talking to who was, obviously who was his receiver over in New York, and then obviously he's going to be following him over there to Carolina now, or Sam Darnold's following Robbie Anderson over to Carolina now. And when they asked Robbie Anderson how he felt about it, it was all over his face. He didn't have to say it, but it was all over his face. He was just like, yeah, I was like, really surprising, that I was really, it wasn't like, oh man, we got Sam, we gonna take over, he just, and he was talking about the opportunities that Teddy kind of gave him over there. And I think that, Teddy might've been a locker room guy. And so maybe, he's not, maybe, your top wide receiver from last year is not completely on board with who they brought in there. And that's someone that's played with them, and that's someone that knows, and if you play, you as an athlete, me it's been forever, I can even remember myself an athlete. But you can tell. When you're on a team with someone, you can tell. You can just tell. You who's the best, so to speak. Who's obviously we all think we're the best, but we all know who really is the best. And who's like, yeah, I wish even if there's we know if he should be in that spot or not. And it looks like Robbie Anderson doesn't think Sam Darnold should be in that spot. So good work by our front office there. I was one of those. I was carrying that torch since probably October. When the Jets were looking like they were going to take Trevor Lawrence, when they were the winless team, I was like, yes, we get Sam Darnold. But I was just basing that off of a number 3 overall pick that we could get a steal from, that didn't have a lot of support to help him there, and a lot of coaching to help him there in New York. So that still might be true. It remains to be seen. But good evaluation by our team and our front office, and good job of staying the course. That's just staying the course, sticking to what you're doing.
That's a great point right there. Staying the course. Sure, Sam Darnold could be Ryan Tannehill 2.0 and just kind of flourish once he gets away from Adam Gase. But back in the days of Bruce Allen and maybe Vinny Serrato, we'd probably go out and give 2 first-round picks for Sam Darnold, right, and just to get him in house. So I think you're right. I was actually having this thought to myself earlier today, where I was thinking, just thinking about the Washington quarterback position, and it's like, yeah, we know that like we both agreed that our quarterback for this year is on the roster right now, correct?
Mhm.
But as far as next year, what's the plan? Nobody really knows. But at the same time, it's like Ron and the front office and whoever it may be, they kind of have to have a plan, right? Ron doesn't seem the type is like, well, let's play this year and just kind of see what happens. Like they've got to have a plan somewhere, some way of, probably a couple different layers of, hey, this is plan A, plan B, plan C, whatever. But to me, it's just like, man, I just don't see what the plan could be because I was looking at quarterbacks that would be coming out of the draft this year. Nobody really jumps out at me. So it's like, and even so, they're not planning on being in those top 5, top 10 picks where you need to be to get a good quarterback, right? So it's a multi-layered issue of what's going. I mean, not even an issue, a multi-layered story of what's going on with this quarterback positioning. I don't know if we've seen this much quarterback movement in one offseason ever in the NFL. I mean, it might not be over yet. There still might be some. There's talks about maybe Teddy coming over to Washington, which again, I think we're good. Any other quarterback talk other than drafting a rookie, I'm good on. I'm all set. Like we got Fitzpatrick. We'll see what Heineke can bring. Hopefully we go and get Shane Bouchel, or I always say Shane Bouchel because I'm cool with Shane Bouchel too. But Sam Ehlinger, I'm cool with getting either of those guys. Sam Ehlinger more so than Bouchel. But outside of a quarterback that's on a roster right now or a free agent or whatever it may be, I'm all set on. Just give me a rookie in the draft and see if we can build something there. If not, I mean, and that could be Ron's plan, right? Is hey, maybe they like a guy in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick. And that's kind of their plan is like, hey, this is our guy. This could be our guy. Let's go get him and see what happens. But, again, full speculation season, so who knows?
And, you say, and the more and more, and I just watched an interview with him, 30 minutes before we're doing this right now. I'm falling more and more thinking we should go get Kellen Mond.
No!
And I know.
Get off anybody that's watching this or listening to this that's a Washington football fan, get off the Kellen Mond bandwagon right now. For the love of God, please.
What is it? What is it?
He's not a passer. He's not a passer. He's an athletic quarterback. He can run the ball. He is not a passer. I've watched him for the last 3 or 4 years, however long he's been at A&M. I've watched him. I watched him with Jimbo these last 2 years, and I watched him with it wasn't Kevin Sumlin. Who? Maybe it was Kevin Sumlin. But both, he got better. Trust me, he got better from last year to this year, Jimbo. But he is not a passer of the ball. He is not an accurate passer.
And I'm not saying he's going to be starting our team day one. And you said the same. And you said the same thing that he said. Which makes it. He's like, tell you the truth. Coming out of college, I was, or coming out of high school, I was the most sought after dual threat quarterback there was, and and I wasn't the most consistent my freshman and sophomore year. But he's like, I'll tell you what, every single year I've gotten better. And I'm going to continue to get better. I'm not a finished product, and I believe that in him. Not to mention his pro day. I don't know if you watched his pro day. I mean, those the throws he made are one thing, but a lot of those pro days are almost they're all scripted. Got your
they're all throws they make all the time.
And you got their prepper, whatever they call that guy, the quarterback guru that sits over there that goes and works with all the running backs, goes and tells all the wide receivers, okay, these are the routes you're going to run. This is gets it all, and again the quarterback just sits there and all right, these is what they're going to do. Just do this. What I mean? So it kind of has someone setting that all up for them, and then the quarterback executes. Kellen Mond did it all himself. He was out there by himself. He was talking to the wide receivers. He was talking to the running backs, and then just the words that keep getting thrown about him to him. Wow. So impressed. You're wowing this, and that. And it's to me, it's someone like Patrick Mahomes that was not, I'm not going to say, I'm not comparing the two types. I'm not comparing them as a player at all. Just that the hype was not there for them. And they were looked over as someone that could come and make an instant impact after sitting a year behind someone like Ryan Fitzpatrick. You know what I mean? That's someone that can throw the ball. And that's someone like, and who knows what someone like that can teach them. Like, man, Ryan Fitzpatrick threw dots with his head, almost turned all the way Exorcist last year. Remember that face mask? Yeah. He's throwing dots like the guys who throw dots like that. He can teach. He can get even better. But of the things that we need out there, and we do need a quarterback. It's are we going to take a chance again in a high draft pick that we're going to have to give up so much for to take a chance for someone like that can fall into your lap in the 2nd or 3rd round? I think he's the one. If he's the one that we should get. I like Sam Ehlinger. I like Shane Bouchel. But if it's the one from this class that we can have ready for the next year that we're talking about, I think it's Kellen Mond. And mark my words right now.
Look, if we do take him, I hope I'm as wrong as anybody. And I'll wear that as soon as it's proven to be, that I am wrong. I hope so. But just as it is right now, I just don't see it. It's like I said, I've been watching for the last 3 or 4 years.
Did we see it in Lamar Jackson? Did we see it in Deshaun Watson?
But Lamar Jackson's still not a good passer. I mean, he's electric. He's electric. He's a great athlete.
Compare Lamar's stats against Patrick Mahomes for the last 2 years, and they're almost identical in accuracy and everything. I mean, so how could you call him a bad passer?
The narrative was that he couldn't pass, and
exactly.
I still think no. Now let me finish. And I think it's true. Like, he misses a lot of open. The difference of passes that they have to make, I think, are what separates them between Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. If you have to win one game for your life, who are you taking?
Well, obviously you're going to take someone that's won the Super Bowl and is an MVP. I mean,
Lamar Jackson's an MVP.
A Super Bowl MVP is what I'm talking about. Okay. At the highest level that there is, he's done it. You know what I mean? So obviously you're going to take that choice. Given they haven't, I might have to think about it a little bit harder. Given the fact that if say Mahomes had done just as well statistically, but say he loses out in the playoffs like Lamar does every year, I'd have to think about it because he hasn't proven that he can win at that spot. But it's not saying he's a bad. It's because he's a bad passer. He's not winning those. They're not losing those games in the playoffs because Lamar's a bad passer. I think that the same thing. I thought it as well. I forget. I was. I forget the word. I can't think of the word, but I was just like, these running quarterbacks. I don't think it's Deshaun Watson. I didn't expect him to do well. I didn't expect Cam Newton to do well. I could go back as that far. I didn't expect Cam Newton to do well in the NFL. I mean, arguably he had that MVP season and hasn't done well since. But I just thought that breed of quarterback we saw with Russell Wilson, RG3, Colin Kaepernick for a while. I thought it was a bleep in the radar. It was not going to be the future. And as we look toward it now, it is. You need to be having. We know we need to have a quarterback that can go outside and make plays with their legs as well. And I'm sure, just as you're saying it, just as everyone else has been saying it to him, he knows that. Just as the same way as Lamar Jackson, he knows he's got to out there and prove that he's a passer as well. Kellen Mond needs to do that too.
I will, though. Back on the Lamar Jackson thing, I will give him a break. Where obviously Patrick Mahomes has way better weapons and has always had way better weapons.
And one of the best offensive minds of all time behind him, scheming all these.
Yeah. So I guess all things being fair, maybe it is a little bit closer than it seems. But I've just look. I don't wish nothing bad on Kellen Mond. I just hope he doesn't end up on Washington. And if he does, like I said, I hope I'm the wrongest person in the world. I'll buy a Kellen Mond jersey and just say I was wrong, like straight up. No, I will hold me to that. If he's drafted by Washington,
but just think that we both wanted to draft Dwayne Haskins. We both wanted to.
But I think that one was the case of circumstance where it's like we need a quarterback. These are the quarterbacks that are going to be available. Let's go get them. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think now, like if Mac Jones was there, we both probably been like, no, don't take him because we were burned by Dwayne Haskins. You know what I mean? Now we've learned don't take a quarterback just to take a quarterback. RG3, I think was a different situation. I think, if he stays healthy, if he doesn't say, hey, I want to be more of a passing quarterback, I think that works. I think he's probably still in the league with us and still playing better or is playing at a decently high level. But I think we got burned by let's go take a quarterback because there's going to be one there, and that was just kind of a victim of circumstance for us. So you can't blame us.
You can't blame us, but at the same time, I'm just saying that we are almost. I'm not saying we're in that desperation mode as well, but again, if we're going to be in that mode next year. And then we might be forced into a Haskins situation if we don't get somebody that I think that's good enough and that can have a year to develop in the league. And I think that's what I like about that, is a year to develop in the league. But because I already said, we have our quarterback that's going to play next year on this roster right now. He would merely be sitting there. So speculation season, brother.
Straight up. One other thing, as I am sitting here behind enemy lines, a report came out that Jerry Jones loves Kyle Pitts. He's fallen in love with Kyle Pitts. And so now the question is, do they go up and try to trade it to that number 4 slot to get him? And as a Washington fan, I say, yeah, go do it. Because guess what? your defense stinks, and you haven't added any pieces on defense really that have made me worry about that defense getting any better. Now, adding a weapon like Kyle Pitts, along with Amari Cooper, along with Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, we'll see what Zeke is like. Dak is coming back. Could that spell problems for the rest of the NFC East? Absolutely. But guess what? Now they really don't have anybody to protect Dak either. Tyron Smith will be coming back, hopefully, but who knows how many games he'll play. Obviously, Travis Frederick retired a couple years ago. So I don't know how you feel, but I think if the Cowboys went and wasted not only and it's not a wasted pick taking Kyle Pitts, but what they would have to give up in order to get to that number 4 slot takes away any other potential to add talent to that defense or add talent to that team at all. And so I just don't know. Like I said, I don't know if that would be a good move, bad move, what it would spell for Washington and the rest of the NFC East. But it's a good case of Jerry seeing the shiny toy and wanting to go draft it, much like he did last year with CeeDee. Now, granted, CeeDee is very good, and I think Kyle Pitts is going to be very good as well, if not a Hall of Famer, by the way he's projecting. But as far as team needs and where your holes are that you need to fill, that's the least of them right now.
Yeah, and what's his name? Kyle Brandt had said it this morning on Good Morning Football when they're talking about that pick for the Cowboys. He's like, Cowboys, I don't care what. I don't care what. You need defense. You have offense. You have receivers. You have all the things on there. Like somebody take that phone away from Jerry because we know they're the wild. They're another one of those wild cards. Those picks is like, if Waddle or when any of these, these shiny toys are sitting there when Jerry comes around, just like you said, CeeDee Lamb last year, he's going to be too, like go get you Patrick Surtain, go get you, J.C. Horn, somebody that's going to help that defense. I'll draft somebody in the first, draft somebody in the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, all defense because your defense stinks. Do you not remember Thanksgiving Day when this whole world sat there and watched the Washington football team destroy you, with that defense, and your team could not do nothing, so that offense ran all over you. So that's the truth. So I'm hoping they do that.
That's what I'm saying. Like don't get me wrong, Kyle Pitts is fantastic. Again, another guy that I was waving the flag for back at the beginning of the college football season. But it's again, yeah, like you said, it's definitely a wild card. So if that move happened, then that just changes the draft altogether, and it's just like, man, where is this thing headed when it comes to that 19th spot? But you can always count on Jerry to throw a wrinkle into things for sure. And speaking of the Cowboys in that tight end spot, they recently just signed a tight end, somebody that we're familiar with, somebody that Jerry might be familiar with because they went to the same alma mater, and that is Jeremy Sprinkle. Jeremy Sprinkle is no longer a Washington football teamer. He went and signed with the enemy and is now playing for the Dallas Cowboys. So that's a hole that we'd have to fill. We've already talked about addressing that in the draft. I think on Monday's show, I might have a little bit of a change to my tight end pick. I talked about that before, and I've been scoping him out. I think there's a guy in the 4th or 5th round we might be able to get. Good size, good athleticism. So a little tease there for you. But we don't have to get him in that 2nd or 3rd round. We can probably wait till that 4th or 5th round. And so I'll update the log. I know I've been teasing that, saying I'll update it. But look, I'm not going to update it just to update it. I like what I got right now. As we get closer to it, it's probably going to start changing a little bit more. But I think I keyed in on a tight end because I told you Brevin Jordan, a little smaller than I thought, or than I would like, I should say, at that tight end spot. But I found a guy that I've really liked and looked into. That's big and athletic, much to like the guys that we were comparing to the other tight ends just last week or whenever it was, the Gronks, the Kelseys, the Jimmy Grahams, guys like that. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, the mismatchers, exactly. The guys that have the size and the speed. So, but yeah, Jeremy Sprinkle, he's gone. He's now an enemy. He's part of the evil empire. But yeah, just a little quick newsworthy note there.
Yes. Goodbye, Sprinkle. Thank you for that one touchdown you caught, I guess. And now Sprinkle is a solid blocker. He sent out a tweet that thanked the Washington football team for believing in him and giving the opportunity the last 4 years. So class act on the way out. Appreciate that, Jeremy. I don't wish your team luck. I wish you luck. I don't wish your team luck, and we'll take it from there.
Hopefully they checked his pockets before he left Washington. Make sure
Yeah,
you
he
didn't
better
steal
not.
anything.
He better not sprinkle anything in their game plan. That's all I'm telling you.
I was just talking about when he got busted stealing at his at the bowl game when his
Oh, yeah.
senior year from the Belk store.
Oh yes. Oh god. Check his pockets. Check him.
That was an unnecessary shot. I didn't mean it, Jeremy. I do wish you personal luck. I don't wish you team luck. I hope that the Cowboys draft Kyle Pitts.
If you can't laugh about it now, Sprinkle, come on, man. It happened when you were younger, but come on, get it. Grow up, bro.
Exactly. We all learn from past mistakes. But that was all I got. Like I said, nothing really with Washington specific, but a lot of things going on and around the NFL that will obviously have an impact on Washington. And always fun to continue a speculation season, things like that. You got anything else before we head out of here? Did you have any?
That's all I got. I got nothing, Ryan. You did a good job, man. Let's see what we got over this weekend. See if we got anything. Absolutely.
One quick thing I wanted to mention earlier. Richard Sherman came out earlier this week and said he's probably going to wait till after the draft to sign, because he said he wants to see, teams are going to want to see what young guys they can get before they go and sign any old dogs. Well, hey, buddy, I'd take your old dog ass right now and come play corner for us. For sure. We've talked about that numerous times. So if we're not able to lock down a corner that we feel like could, contribute come week one, I think Richard Sherman could, and I would love to go out and grab him. Maybe we can get him for a discounted price, maybe a 1 year deal with a, another option on that second year. But, that's just something that I threw out because we've talked about him before about possibly bringing him in, so we can look for that part of the second wave of free agency after the draft.
Oh, yes, indeed. Come on, Sherman. We got some room for some. You want to come play with Chase Young, and we need some more veteran leadership on that defense with Kerrigan gone. So come on.
Absolutely. Would love to see it. All right, well, that'll do it for us today on this beautiful Friday. Again, make sure you subscribe here on YouTube. Ring that notification bell so as soon as we drop this heat, it is delivered right to you. Check us out anywhere you find your podcast, Spotify, Google, Apple. Also find us on SoundCloud, all by searching Allies Behind Enemy Lines. Find us on Twitter at AlliesBEL or on Facebook, Allies Behind Enemy Lines, where all our shows are posted immediately as soon as they hit YouTube. And again, go ahead and click that link on our Twitter so you can buy a t-shirt. Let everybody know you support not only the greatest Washington football podcast based out of Texas, but also you have some allies on your side too. So if somebody wants to talk that mess, we got your back. And we will. If you've seen us at Cowboys games, we will talk that mess and we will have your back. I promise. I promise that. But until Monday, y'all have a great weekend. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all then.